Time for a look at what's new for film fans this weekend. We're joined live by film critic Richard Crouse. Richard, thanks so much for joining us, as always.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start off with this one, quite a title to begin with. Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul.
Yeah, this is a mockumentary now playing in theaters. And when we think about mockumentaries, I think most of us think of the Christopher Guest movies, movies like Spinal Tap or Best in Show, that were shot in kind of a documentary style, but were satires of the topics that they were covering, in that case, rock and roll and the dog show world. This one is the same kind of thing, except that it's not as funny as those other ones because it's not setting out to be as funny as those other ones. This one is set as a satire of the world of Southern Baptist megachurches. Sterling K. Brown and Regina Hall play the pastor and what they call the first lady of this megachurch who get embroiled in a sex scandal and then have to figure out how to get their congregation back and to get those big dollars from the congregation rolling in again. And there are some very funny scenes in this movie, laugh out loud scenes, but the stuff that really was memorable for me was the stuff that was a bit more dramatic. Regina Hall has a long, gut-wrenching monologue that she gives at one point in this film, and she does it while wearing essentially clown makeup or a mime makeup. You'll understand when you see the show. And when you can deliver that and still make it have the impact that it does, you know you're onto something right. So it's kind of the sublime mixed with the ridiculous here a little bit, and I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's called Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, and it's in theaters right now.
All right, 3.5 stars just for the name, I think, as well.
Yeah.
All right, the next one, a buddy comedy, love him or hate him. There's always good laughs in there sometimes. So this one is Me Time.
Me Time with Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg. They play longtime best friends, but their lives have taken much different paths. Kevin Hart is a stay-at-home dad, and he's really good at it. He loves it, likes being home with the kids, while his wife, who happens to be played by Regina Hall, and we were just talking about, she's climbing the corporate ladder as an architect. When she suggests that he take some me time and just sort of relax and get away from the family a little bit, he decides to go with his friend Mark Wahlberg off on a wild birthday weekend. They go to Burning Man, and just everything gets turned upside down. So this is an opposites attract buddy comedy, I guess, but it tackles fairly adult themes about infidelity is touched on, about giving up a career to stay at home with the children, lots of things that older people think about, but the level of humor is about grade 6 level of humor. And that's what I didn't really understand about this movie. I don't really know who it's for. It is kind of a childish look at very adult topics. So I gave it 2 out of 5 stars, and it's currently streaming on Netflix.
All right. Usually buddy comedies are about at a grade 6 comedy level at that point. All right. So let's wrap things up with Funny Pages.
Yeah, this is a gritty, independent film. It's a coming-of-age story, but unlike most coming-of-age stories, which always have some kind of inspirational bent to them, this one doesn't. This one is about a young guy who loves comic books, but not the Marvel and DC comic books that we're kind of used to hearing about these days. He loves alternative comics. He loves Mad Magazine. He likes Robert Crumb, and he has aspirations to one day becoming a comic book artist. To do that, he leaves the relative comfort of his parents' home, moves into a really dodgy rooming house thinking that will give him some edge that will make his art better, and tries to make a go of it with a new mentor who turns out to be a little bit more violent than you might want in a mentor. Great in terms of its performances and the completely unsentimental way that it presents the story. I like this one a lot. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's playing in theaters and on VOD this weekend, and it reminded me of the kind of coming-of-age stories that we used to get a lot of in the 1990s, movies like Ghost World and things like that. I think it's worth a look if you're nostalgic for that kind of movie.
All right, great choices. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks for having me.